What is up, my friends? How are we? You're very welcome along to Saturday night's late night agenda. Pleasure to be here with you all. Let me start off the stream again by just apologising for the fact I wasn't around for the watch along this morning. I had been mentioning it during the week, of course, but I know a lot of you guys are busy and don't catch every stream, so just wanted to start off with that one. I seen a comment before I started which made me chuckle. Someone trying to say, I think we're being manipulated by Craig. And how exactly am I manipulating you, Aidan? Into what, bro? I don't know what I'm trying to manipulate you into, but you couldn't even spell that word right, by the way. You managed to forget the end of it, so you maybe go back to concentrating on that before having a pop at me, and I get it. People get frustrated and they decide that they need to take it out on somebody. That's no problem whatsoever, as I've said, but yeah, look, I don't have to be here. I choose to be here because I enjoy spending this time with you guys and because, well, I love our football club. And if you think I'm manipulating you, as I've always said, no problemo. Go elsewhere and watch somebody else. I don't force anybody to come into the streams, but I'm also not here to be ridiculed by anybody else. So I'm trying to start the stream in an upbeat tone because, there's a lot to be happy about. We've seen Rio Nyamoha start today. Brilliant for him. Youngest Liverpool starter in the history of the club. Well done to Rio. We also seen Chiesa get himself a goal today. Jadon Danns as well. And an absolute belter from Trent Alexander-Arnold. And Liverpool booked their place safely into the next round. So, there is a lot to be happy about. And, if I ever come across that isn't the way, I apologise. Because on the pitch, like I've always said, things are great. But we are making the same mistakes again. And we're going to go through it tonight and try to figure it out. So, let me just get the first comment up. Thank you, Laura. Please say you've seen the video of Gary Neville being put into a submission move by a WWE wrestler. I did, yeah. It was Sheamus. And yes, well done, Sheamus. So, I did see it, yeah. It was fun. But look, it never looked like he was taking it in good spirits as well, to be honest. Craig, if you thought we were ever going to sign the Georgian lad, you're gone bananas. So, another insult to start off the stream on. Again, show me one video, just one, or a comment, or anything that I say we're signing the young Georgian Messi, Kvaradona, or Kvaratskhelia. It hasn't happened. I haven't made it. It isn't there. So, again, I would say just fuck off and go annoy somebody else. I'm not putting up with it anymore. I'm here to have fun and I'm here to have my say. If people don't like it, I don't make you watch. Remember that. I'm here to have fun and enjoy myself, not to be abused by anybody because people are frustrated the club aren't doing that. And I get it. I understand it. But I'm not the source of that frustration. I am, in my opinion, the lone dissenting voice to speak up for what I think are cheapnesses. And actually, speaking about the lone dissenting voices, I want to just talk about something today to kick us off if I can. And that is the echo. The echo, ladies and gentlemen, because quite frankly, myself and many other Liverpool fans are getting a little bit sick of the Liverpool echo. So earlier on today, I clipped something from one of their articles and I sent it to Connor and I said, post this up on Twitter, mate, will you? Because I'm not on Twitter and he is one of the people that runs our account. So it was, the chance to build from a position of strength is there if the right target or two becomes available. But there should be no collective outrage if purse strings remain tightly wound once more. So the question that I have is, how exactly is that out of context to the rest of the article that Paul Gorst, cry-arsing tried to make out like, once again, people are clipping up the echo out of context. They went in on Anfield Edition. It isn't out of context. I've read the whole article. I read the whole article before I clipped it. What is out of context, Paul, and any other echo-based journalist, is you professing to be an actual voice of the people, the fans, and those that buy your newspaper. All you are yes men and panderers down to the owners of the club who don't have the backbone to actually stand up and call for transfers. So rather than saying these things are all out of context, give the context. You can't because they're not out of context. It is brown-nosing of the highest order. And here's the thing. He can't even do a reply without the editing being absolutely shocking, as per every other article in their newspaper. As usual with you guys, you've taken the line from an 800 opinion piece, forgot the word there, Paul, it's okay though, I'll fill it in for you, and spun it out of context, a really bad firm, he said to Anfield Edition. It's not out of context, you just don't like being called out, because people have a backbone, unlike your good selves over there at the Echo. So how about stop being a brown noser and start representing the club and the people that you claim to represent, and not just John W. Henry and the owners. You should want the best for Liverpool. You should want the best for the fans, your readers, but you don't. You just want the access. You just want the easy little pat on the head from Uncle John. Sorry, it's not going to happen. The Echo has absolutely fallen from grace. When James Pearce was there, it was a great paper with better insight. Now, it is just a load of people who can't take being called out for this stuff, jumping online together to try and undermine everybody else. Oh, we're real journalists. Have you read The Echo, Paul? Go through any of the articles in The Echo, mate. It looks like a 6-year-old is editing it. So before you jump on your mighty horse to tell everybody else that you're being taken out of context, proofread the crap that you're writing. And then maybe the football world and the Liverpool fan base will start to take you seriously again. Because right now, it's pathetic. You know it. I know it. You know deep down that what you're writing is absolutely, basically just coming straight out of John W. Henry's mouth. And if you can't take that criticism, be better. Be better to any of the Echo journalists. Because you don't represent your readers. And you love to try and undermine and call out everybody else and get up on your moral high horse. But ultimately you're failing your readers. And you're doing a disservice to those people that used to put their trust in you for opinions. Balanced opinions. But it's just a one-sided argument now. And it's pathetic. So that's the start to tonight's stream. Because I'm getting sick of it. I'm getting sick of all of these outlets and people that look down their noses at the rest of us because we dare have a standard. We dare call for action. Like, who do they think they are to even write the phrase, there should be no collective outrage if the purse strings remain tightly wound once more? Why? Why should there be no collective outrage when we see other clubs going out and spending money? When we've had 7 months to get the new sporting director's feet under the table, no contract have been sorted out. We had an absolute shambles of a summer transfer window. And every window, bar none, there is an excuse put out there. And people like the journalists at The Echo just pat the owners on the head and say everything's great. That isn't the case. And if you like what happened last year happening again and again and again, then keep pretending that there's nothing wrong. And keep pretending that Liverpool can't improve. And keep pretending that what you're writing is actually a fair reflection of what we're seeing. Yes, we're top of the league. That's brilliant. Nobody's trying to say that isn't a good thing. But we've been here before. And we fell away before. And before you start to say, January's a tough window, we've done some of our best ever transfers in January. And it's only ever a tough window when we're involved. When any other club needs to do something, like Manchester City, voila, there's signings made. And there's players brought in. But somehow when Liverpool try to do something, it becomes a big issue. And things are very complicated. And the financials aren't great. And even though we saved 18 million in the summer for the wages of Thiago, for Adrian San Miguel and Joel Matip, once again we cry poor mouth. It's pathetic. Be better. Right, couple of comments to get through. David Massett said, happy for Chiesa today. Delighted for him, mate. I didn't watch the game, obviously, but I've seen the highlights since, and it looked as if he was knocking on the door the whole way through. And I'm glad he got the goal. It was a good goal as well. Well drilled in the bottom corner. Trent's goal today, by the way. Chef's kiss. Absolutely wonderful strike from Trent. And hopefully that gives him a little bit more confidence and we can kick that on into the game because it is a huge, huge game coming up on Tuesday. Stephen Gallagher said, hey Craig, love the show as always. Personally, I would have preferred those funds to go into an out-and-out number 9 like Isak. Well, I'm going to tie it all together for you. And look, many of us didn't believe that we were going to be in for Kavicha Kvaratskhelia. But here's the thing that I would ask. Why is it that all of a sudden nobody had anything on Kvaratskhelia? It comes out once and then all of a sudden everybody associated with Liverpool journalism starts to talk about Liverpool's interest in Kavicha Kvaratskhelia. Romano comes out and says Napoli are far along in the negotiations with PSG with regards to the players' wages and stuff like that. And it's looking like he's going to move there. So where's the action again from us? Because we were lied to with the Lenny Yoro situation. We were told we were waiting in the wings. You all wrote it. You all came out there and circle jerked each other and came out and said, yeah, Liverpool are waiting in the wings. We're ready. Michael Edwards will act. Didn't happen. Yet again, another story where we're sitting around on our hands while everybody else has gone about doing their business. And rather than actually call for this improvement and use your influential positions, no, berate fans again. Because that's all these outlets have now. Berate everybody else. We're all lunatics. Ian Doyle was trying to say Liverpool fans wanted to be like Chelsea fans and City fans in a piece a while back on one of the Blood Red podcasts. Got called out on it and cry-arsed about it again. Trying to say it was out of context. Listen to the whole piece. Sometimes you don't need context. Sometimes it's there in front of you. And telling people that they should have no right to complain if the purse strings are kept tight is nothing short of an embarrassment. Roger, how are you, bro? Said, hope for the best each window. Expect the worst from these owners. Dans and Chiesa look promising. Well, yes, that's a really good point. And I want to talk about the Dans and Chiesa thing because I want to pitch something to you guys. Have we got the real deal here? Because I think we have in Jadon Dans. You know, we're going to talk about Darwin Núñez tonight because Al Hilal over in Saudi Pro League are apparently very interested in signing him. They're looking to bring in a Neymar replacement, a superstar, and we'll talk about why it makes sense or why it potentially makes sense in a while. But the way I want to link it all together is, I could be overhyping young Dans here, but in my mind, I'm actually alright with him being that guy. At least starting in next season. Maybe this season we continue what we have, and if Dans gets opportunities, brilliant. It's up to the manager to decide if Jadon Dans should have a loan or not, and I'm sure they'll make the right decision on that one. But I genuinely think this kid is special, like really special. And if we did move Darwin on, I think it's not a bad idea to give this lad a shout next season, especially if the manager is going to be looking to utilise Diaz through the centre on occasion, Diogo Jota another option. I wouldn't be against it personally. Someone said, was I at the game? No, mate, I was at an appointment with my son that we had to keep this morning. So no, wasn't at the game. I don't know who Amari's having a go at here in the chat saying he wouldn't say anything to somebody's face. I don't even know what that's in relation to or who he's having a pop at there, mate. So, sorry, Amari, mate. I've no idea what any of that's about or who you were talking to or whatever. But, sorry. I don't know, man. Gonna move on. Charlie said, I want a job like Hughes, paid to do nothing. I don't know what's going on there. And you know, I was speaking to somebody yesterday about the whole situation at Liverpool and the lack of any information coming out from the club on a load of different things. And it kind of just got me thinking. I think Arne Slot has yet again been thrown under a bus here. Because it was very promising when Richard Hughes came in and we had that presentation of Arne Slot and Richard Hughes sitting there and we thought, okay, maybe we're going to hear a bit more. But it's stonewall silence at the club at the minute. And it can be frustrating for fans because, you know, obviously we don't see behind the scenes. We don't know if anything is or isn't going on and what people are doing. But it certainly comes across to many fans at the minute like one of two things. Either Richard Hughes isn't up to the job or there's nothing happening. And I'm sure that there could be the third option where he is doing stuff and it's taking long. But it's difficult to keep talking about contracts now when that was the first thing in his in tray, according to all the fine journalists that write their pieces and do their work. Finty Tin. Is there a case for Kelleher starting over Alisson? Not with the manager, I would say. Yeah, look, it's a really difficult subject, this one, to be honest, for me to discuss, because I am biased in this one. But I also love Alisson Becker dearly, and I think he's been the greatest goalkeeper of my lifetime supporting this football club, and I don't really want to say anything negative about him. I mentioned previously that I felt a little bit more unsure of certain things with Alisson, but I still find it very difficult to come out and say anything about him being dropped or anything like that, to be honest with you, because he's a special man, a special goalkeeper, and as good as Quevian is as well, we do have to also understand that Quevian's future isn't going to be with the club as things stand. We've got Georgi Mamardashvili coming in. Alisson, I believe, contracted till 2027. So yeah, tough one, but the manager's been very clear on this, to be honest, and he's always said when Alisson comes back in, he's the number one, and the manager makes these calls. Jamie Doyle, how are you, Jamie? Said, for Dan's goal today, did you see just how much sharper and alert he was compared to Darwin? It's like you took the words out of my mouth there, Jamie. Yeah, it was a great reaction because it came at him quickly. And we've seen a couple of these half chances this season fall to others, more senior players, and sometimes they've done well, sometimes they've skied them, but you're absolutely spot on, Jamie. The way he reacted to the keeper parrying that ball back out and side-footed it in, when it came at him quickly, I thought it was brilliant. I was really impressed with it. Now, granted, I only seen the highlights of the game, but very impressive stuff from Jayden Danns. Lukester. And by the way, Lukester is a Chelsea fan, so before I read this out, I just got to put that caveat up there. Do you think that the procrastination at the board level is going to screw over Slot in the long term? And also, how's your day going today? My day's good, thank you, mate. Yeah, not too bad. See, it's a fair point about the procrastination. But we also don't hear from the likes of Hughes and Edwards, so it's hard to know what to make of these people when we haven't really been given a chance to get to know them. We all know Michael Edwards from his days before when he was sporting director and stuff, and his day-to-day influence at Liverpool, I believe, is supposed to be waning as he goes about the other role that he was brought back in for with FSG, a more senior one. But Richard Hughes is kind of like a mystery to Liverpool fans at this point. We need to hear more from him. And I think that's something that whatever side of the ownership debate you're on, I think you would agree with me that it would be nice to hear more, because Arne Slot is being wheeled out in front of the media for press conferences, which of course is his job as the head coach. But he's been treated like a manager. And what I mean by that is he's been asked questions that we know already aren't in his remit. So he's not going to be in charge of transfers as much as Jurgen Klopp would have been. But of course he would have an impact and a say on them. So I think it's really unfair you're wheeling out a manager who's been asked questions that he can't really answer. I think he's been thrown under the bus somewhat. So I'd like to hear a little bit more from Richard Hughes or senior people at the club about what is the plan, what is happening. And I get a lot of these negotiations and stuff are private, but you see what happens when there is no communication. The void gets filled by stories coming out of Spain, or maybe people like me getting angry, or other things. And, if it's wrong, tell us. Help the fans understand what's going on. Thoughts on Walker asking to leave City? I don't really have too many thoughts on it. It was reported and, it looks like it's going to happen. I mean, I have the comment here. 2 days ago, Kyle asked to explore the options to play abroad at the end of his career, said Pep Guardiola. No idea. If I don't have to listen to Kyle Walker being interviewed again, I'll take that as a win. But yeah, I don't really think too much about it, to be honest with you. I'd rather talk about how Manchester City are apparently able to find transfers and do business in January, but, we get the old same old, same old. So, I mean, I can't tell you about that appointment this morning and what it was to. It's private stuff, but my son's fine. Thank you for those asking. He's in good health and he's fine. No issues in that regard. So thank you to people asking, but it's nothing to be concerned about. I can promise you that. But I do appreciate your thoughts. Right, David, how are you, my friend? So I'm going to get through the news in a second, by the way. Don't worry, I have lots of stories to fly through. David Massett said, I said at the start of the season I had no faith in Hughes and Edwards because now we've let the contracts get this far. So I just keep coming back to this conversation about them being empowered and me thinking, empowered to do what? Empowered to do nothing? You don't need to empower somebody to do nothing. Either they have to be held accountable for not doing the job good enough, or we need to understand that they're just not being allowed to do anything. It's one or the other. How did you feel about Chiesa today? So again, having not seen the full game, just delighted he got his goal. He looked really happy in the bits and pieces I'd seen as well. And yeah, look, it was a pretty perfect afternoon for Liverpool today. Did what they were supposed to do, which was take care of Accrington Stanley comfortably. You know, scored some good goals, hopefully giving some confidence to some players. Minutes in the legs, a start for Rio as well. You know, the youngest player to make it a start for Liverpool, and that's really exciting stuff as well moving forward. So, yeah, it was good. I'm delighted with that result, and I'm sure Arne Slot is happy with what he's seen as well, particularly that goal from Trent. Wow, what a strike that was from the edge of the box. Absolutely beautiful. Craig, I've been seeing a lot of news about Virgil's contract sorted. How true is it? So I did mention, I think Dave OC Cop jumped the gun a little bit. You know, I think the guts of what Dave said makes sense. You know, particularly if you add it, into what Marcel van der Kraan said. But all I can say is I don't know of a timing. I couldn't tell you if the contract is signed or not signed, but I honestly can say that there is a lot of confidence around that situation. And, you know, until a journalist or the club come out and end the speculation, we're all going to be just kind of waiting to hear. Now, of course, Arne isn't going to answer the questions, as he's made clear from day one. To be fair, he's there to talk about football, tactics, team selection, that kind of stuff. So, yeah, frustration, but hopefully we get the good news soon. Carl, how are you, my man? Said, hi, Craig. Dan's is definitely making me giddy. Powerful, direct and full of confidence. Real Liverpool-style centre-forward. So, I'm glad you brought it up again, Carl, because I've been sitting here thinking, am I deluded? And a lot of people are probably going, yes, Craig, yes, you are. But on this one, I'm like you, mate. I'm wondering if we did move Darwin on, if we'd be all right keeping Dan's around. You know, if Chiesa's going to get minutes and stay with the team, you've got more options then. We're kind of not spoiled in attack, but we've got a great front line with great options for the manager, which is why the Kvaratskhelia stuff, whilst exciting, never really added up unless we were destined to lose somebody. Now, let me just tie all this together, I guess, Carl, and bring in the story that came out from Transfer Sector via Anfield Watch, and they say Al Hilal are giving serious consideration to signing Darwin Núñez. And then after that, Al Hilal's current manager is also Jorge Jesus, who's a huge fan of Núñez, having worked with him at Benfica, and under Jesus, Núñez scored 32 goals and registered 14 assists in just 66 games. So there's that relationship. There's the fact that Al Hilal need to bring in a player. It looks like Neymar's going to be off. They've given him something like €101 million for a total of 46 minutes of football and 2 games played. So they're looking for the high-profile superstar signing. And I've told you guys that from my understanding, there's a number that Liverpool will do business with for Darwin Núñez. But what I don't know is what Darwin Núñez and his family's thoughts would be on moving to the Saudi Pro League. I don't know the answer to that one. But from every other aspect, it feels like it's a plausible deal if it's open to Núñez and his family. What's your thoughts on the Loic Bade links? Again, I've never been given any encouragement. I've asked David about them a few times and a couple of others, and it's never been a name that's ever really been one that I've got much confidence on. But, you know, I'm also open to the fact that some things are just really kept quiet. So I can't sit here and say not a chance, but all I can say is I've not been encouraged by his name when it's come up. So I want to get the first poll of the night up on Jayden Danns. One sec, folks. Okay, so question I'm going to ask is, would you be okay if we sold Darwin but used Jayden Danns instead? Now look, for me, honestly, I'd rather start using Dan from the start of next season when he's had time to have a full pre-season under Arne. But the manager's been kind of fulsome in his praise of Dan's as well. So I think we could cope. if he didn't go on loan, that is, it's a tough one, because if I can understand if Arne Slot and Jayden Dan's camp look at him and think he needs minutes now. It's important to get him back playing regularly. The window's open till 3rd of February, so maybe a late loan move in the window or something like that. And we would be leaving ourselves one position short up top, I guess. But I guess the question is, how much do you rate the loss of Darwin as a massive loss to the squad? And so I guess it's an individual answer for people. Craig, how are you? I'm honestly getting pissed off, mate, is how I am. The amount of people that I've seen over the last week or two creep into the chat to try and again undermine me and accuse me of stuff that is just bullshit. You just say, what's the point? I'm not here to listen to this shit. Like someone saying I manipulate. How am I manipulating people? By having an opinion? You don't have to agree with my opinion. I'm just giving you my opinion. So yeah, I'm a little bit, do I need the hassle, to be honest with you? But sorry, I'll get to the rest of your question. Hope dinner and appointment went well. David Lynch made the same point about Dans and Darwin. I agree. Well, I haven't had a chance to catch up with David or his work today. I usually listen to his match reactions and stuff, but been such a busy day, I haven't had a chance yet. I'm sure I will later on. And look, it doesn't surprise me if David Lynch thinks similarly, because I think everyone is excited about the prospect of Jayden Dans for the future. So yeah, wouldn't surprise me at all. Dinner was good, thank you, last night. Really enjoyable. Why would you take the risk of not replacing Núñez when you're looking likely to win the title? I get the question is though, promoting Dan's through. So you're not really losing a number of players, if you get me. It's just the question of whether Dan's is ready to come in now. And I guess it also might be the numbers might make sense for the club. I don't know what the market might be in the summer for Darwin. Look, it's not an open and shut question, and it's not a black and white one, and I'm not saying it's 100% the right thing to do this. It's just a conversation point, my man. Danny, thank you, Danny LaRue, gifting 5 Anfield Agenda memberships. Much appreciated, sir. Thank you. Charlie said, when Hughes took over, I said to many Liverpool fans, I don't think he's big club material, and I was told to be quiet. Hand him a P45 by Hughes. See, I'm not at a point yet to write Richard Hughes off, because I don't know enough about his work. All I know is at the minute there doesn't seem to be a lot of solutions to the few problems that we've had. So I think it was a mixed bag in the summer. Obviously he brought in Arne Slot, which is a good appointment. Mamardashvili, I think most of us can understand the thought processes behind that longer term. Chiesa, yeah, probably worth a punt at the money we paid. But it was the lack of getting the midfielder over the line that I think for me started him off on the back foot. But the real indictment, I guess, for me is the lack of progress on the contract renewals. More than anything else, that's probably the thing that I feel most annoyed at Richard Hughes for. Because at least one of them should be done, if not all of them. Mohammed said, in my humble opinion, Slot needs to start trusting Chiesa, Dans and Endo so that he can rotate the team better, because he won't get the funds from the owners to get the players that he wants. How hurtful is that to write as a Liverpool fan, Mohammed? The last part, particularly, my man. Because he won't get the funds from the owners. And this is what makes my blood boil. Because you've got the Echo and many others trying to make out like you and I and anybody else that wants a signing are at the very other end of the spectrum, where we're absolutely just want to live a FIFA life and not live in reality and want hundreds of millions spent on players, when I don't know any Liverpool fan that thinks that way. But it's how we get painted. And how dare we want the club to even match the ambition of other clubs? We've got Arteta cry arson that he hasn't got enough money to spend in the market after bringing in a 105 million quid midfielder, after bringing in Havertz, after bringing in Trossard, after spending all the money he did, bringing in Mikel Merino in the last one. And he's cry arson about it. And yet we're called ungrateful by the Echo and others for daring to ask why we haven't made proper signings in positions that we've gone through 3-4 windows needing them in, and why we are willing to walk a tightrope of the same mistakes happening that's happened in other seasons, where we ended up with Arthur Mello and we ended up with Ben Davies and Ozan Kabak and these other players that, let's be honest, everybody knew were not going to be good enough for Liverpool, but were cheap panic solutions. So you can't just keep undermining everybody and telling everybody else that we're wrong. It just becomes tiring, especially when they don't give you a solution. They just give you the undermining. DCP said, keep Darwin until the summer, need the rotation. And the absolute cheek, by the way, of Paul Gorst here, the absolute barefaced cheek of the man, saying to somebody else that you're, what was the words he said here? Let me just get this right. 1 second. He said, to Anfield Edition, a really bad firm. A really bad firm. So he has the barefaced cheek to tell a fan account wanting the best for the club that they're a bad firm. Meanwhile, they can't put 2 paragraphs together on the Professional Echo website with fully paid journalists, and he has the cheek to talk about others being a bad firm. They are disingenuous. They intentionally ignore some of the Liverpool fan base and channels like ours because we don't toe the line, and they have the cheek to speak to others about what's good and bad. Nah, sorry, bullshit. The days of newspapers and the likes of Paul Gorst and Ian Doyle telling everybody else what to do and getting on their moral high horse thinking they're better than the rest of us are fucking done. They're done. You don't have the power anymore. The power is with the people who want to have a voice, who want actual representation on what's going on and want to have a say. And if you don't think so, look at your dwindling numbers compared to everybody else's. Why might that be? Why are you resorting to clickbait, by the way? Earlier on as well, a big headline making it look like Steven Gerrard was sacked from El Ettifaq. A big headline, only to find out it was an injury to a player. And you have the cheek to talk about others being a bad firm, when I would fire your ass and every one of the other journalists writing for the Echo tomorrow if I had the 20 quid to buy it off Reach Media. But I probably wouldn't get a return on that because it's gone so far downhill that there's no journalistic standard to it anymore. So don't dare think you get to sit behind your fucking keyboard on your cushy little job, getting little pats on the head from John, attending games and not having the backbone to speak for the people you represent, and then tell the rest of us what to do. Fuck you. Those days are over. Not happening. Ornstein and Joyce say Liverpool would consider a move. Lynch says a lot of things have to go right for him to sign him. Meanwhile, PSG talk to him every day and offer him 5 times his salary. We're just twiddling our thumbs. It's just, it looks like another repeat of the Lenny Yoro situation. And it's the same all over again. You know, we were told that if these things didn't happen, Liverpool were in the wings waiting to go. And they didn't. And then we got lied to. Then all of a sudden it was, oh, well, the fee was too high, the wages were too high. There's too much, he's asking for too much. So 1 minute he's a generational talent of a centre-back that Liverpool are looking for and waiting around in the wings for. And then all of a sudden he's not worth the money. And I'm supposed to, as a fan, read this crap and say, oh yeah, that makes sense. It's just bullshit. And these people need to give their fucking head a wobble. Just because everybody around FSG that gets all the little access and gets the interviews sits there and thinks, aren't we all great? Look at us. We're the fucking great boys at the top table. It's because of that attitude that people like me are allowed to exist and get to this point. Because there is no dissenting voices welcome around Liverpool content or in Liverpool fandom. It's only cowtoers and brown-nosers to the owners that are acceptable. And tell me I'm wrong. Tell me one fucking dissenting voice. Echo, come on, one. Tell me why you've never ever quoted Anfield Agenda. Ever. Even when David Lynch has been on and everybody else is quoting it. Why not? You know why? Because you're doing everything you can to suppress these dissenting voices. So again, you have no fucking moral high ground to stand on. Whitehammer said, mind blown. The summer we signed Darwin, worst window in Liverpool history. Have a look, Craig. That signing, to me, was one that wouldn't have happened if Michael Edwards was at the club. That signing, to me, with Darwin, felt like a reaction to two things. The one good season that he had, the one particularly good season that he had with Benfica, coupled with the good performances against us. And look, I'll never know if I'm right or wrong on that. But what I will say is, we all wanted it to work. You know, all of us. He's a likeable guy, Darwin. He's an easy guy to love. And on his day, wow. You know, that Newcastle game, whatever else happens, that'll live in our memory for a long time as well. But unfortunately, that one hasn't worked out. And, you know, it's one of the few mistakes I think the club have made in the transfer market. Because more often than not, we've done well when we have dipped our toes in the transfer waters. Patrick said, I kind of feel it's going to be a no signing January. I don't know. Somebody asked me this earlier on, and I'm kind of torn between thinking that maybe they're waiting to see if something comes up, because I don't think Liverpool make fully reactionary signings like that, but maybe the right circumstances for a player who they maybe thought wouldn't have been available would have been on the list. I'm torn. I'm 50-50 on whether I think we do or don't make a signing this month. Craig, Darwin loves the fans, but not so sure the fans love him. But I can assure you he has my courage and respect. So let me phrase it a different way for you, James. To the fans that you think don't love Darwin, do you think that there might be a point as to him not being good enough? Because you've got Robbie Fowler, who I think has the respect of every single person here, coming out and saying that he's not a Liverpool striker and he's not good enough. I'll read it out to you. So, you know, you don't even have to listen to my words on it or other fans. Robbie Fowler, speaking about Darwin, said, we're saying the same things now for 2 or 3 years. He's raw, he's this, he's that. You can't keep saying that. For me, the more I see him, the more I think he's not a Liverpool player. People might have a go at me for saying that because he works hard. You're not signing a player because he works hard. That should be a prerequisite anyway. I think that's spot on from Robbie. And I know it wouldn't have been easy for him to say either, because we all want the best for Liverpool's number 9, whether it's Darwin Núñez or anybody else. So I actually think fans have been, in the main, because there's always some that are just idiots. I think fans have been in the main understanding and hopeful about Darwin, but you can't just keep hoping, you know. It's not one season or it's 2.5 years. I think people have a right now to say this might not have worked out. And again, that's okay. Excuse me. Right, so let's check in on the poll. I asked you, would you be okay if we sold Darwin but used Jayden Danns instead? Now look, of course, with any of these type of polls, you always have to understand as well, they're sometimes tilted because Jayden Danns scored a great goal today, or Darwin isn't in good form, and maybe people are feeling optimistic. So it's by no means an accurate reflection of reality, but it just gives us a snapshot of where people's heads are at a particular time. And right now, with are we there? Yeah, 1,500 votes cast. 70% of the people that voted said yes, they would be happy if Jayden Danns was promoted through if Darwin moved on. So let me ask you another question. So this is a really straightforward question that I hope you guys can understand the simplicity of it. It's just, do you think we need signings? Because, you know, all this talk of, again, the Echo saying there can be no complaints if the purse strings are kept tight. I want to see if you think that's right or wrong. Like, do you think we need a signing, or are you okay? So let's ask that question. Do you think we need signings? And we'll see how people are feeling about it. Where's the money, John? Where's the money? You know where it is. Where it always is. Nowhere near the transfer market. Right, some more news. Centre backs. So a name that you guys have said to me on a few occasions. I seen a report on today, and I wanted to ask you guys about it. So, according to a report in Italy, they say Liverpool have made an offer or an attempt to sign Bologna centre back Sam Buquema. 26 years of age. I know very little about this man. They say Arne Slot believed to be familiar with him, having previously tried to sign him when he was in charge of Feyenoord. They actually say on charge because, again, this is the Echo, and, you know, heaven forbid they were able to put 3 paragraphs together without errors in it. Maybe a bit less time, Paul and Ian and the boys. Bit less time on Twitter crying about people calling you out. Bit more time in the old editing here, because I didn't even notice that myself until this point when I was reading it out. Arne Slot is believed to be familiar with Buquema, having previously tried to sign him when he was on charge of Feyenoord. Respect, though, you know what I mean? Top journalism, that, when he was on charge. Was it wireless, or was he plugged in when he was on charge at Feyenoord, lads? The fine journalists there at the Echo. Which one was it? On charge, was it? So yeah, on him. Let us know your thoughts on whether he's good enough or not. I know nothing about him, to be honest with you, other than he's a centre-back, he's 26, and yeah. And Arne Slot was interested in him when he was on charge of Feyenoord. So somebody here, Anfield Sector, are reporting that Liverpool have contacted the agent of El Haj Malik Juf, Slavia Prague, 125 million. I know zero about this guy, folks, so any help would be much appreciated. Oh, he's a left back. He's a left back, sorry. So yeah, he's a left back. Interesting. That would be for the summer, I think. From my understanding as well, the summer's most likely for a left back, unless somebody was to move on in this month, maybe. It's funny, this, isn't it? That 92% of our fan base think we need a signing, but yeah, the lads, you know, covering the club want to give a pat on the back to Hughes and Edwards for holding their nerve and not pulling the trigger, but yet 92% of the fans want a signing and think we need a signing. It's a bit weird, that, isn't it? You know, bit weird that everybody else thinks we need signings, but, you know, not those that are in positions of influence. Although that influence is waning, as we've pointed out before. Alex Macklin said it's every window, Craig. This comment here, I can't read the name out, sorry, my man. It's too many letters in that one for me. This title will slip away from us if we don't strengthen. So, I'm going to be honest, because I can only ever be honest. I don't think the title's going to slip away from us. I don't. I think even in my most pessimistic mindset, if we didn't get a bad injury, I think we win the league. But I don't know about the rest of the trophies on offer. And that's my problem here, is we're looking at a season where we're in a good position in the league. And we should, in my opinion, be able to go on and see that out. But it's what else? Because you can never quantify what you didn't win, if you get me. Like, you can never look back over seasons and say definitively what we may have done if we did something in the market. But we know what not doing stuff in the market has done. And we know not being proactive and trying to address deficiencies in the squad or in a specific area. And we've got loads of different excuses for it. No money. No players available. No players who are better than what we have at the club available. And a few other bits and pieces along those lines. But ultimately, no signing. Difficult market, yeah, that's the other one. Even though we've done some of our greatest transfer business in modern times in January. Why is Hughes on vacation? I don't believe he is on vacation. I always try to be... I know people don't think this of me, but I always try to be as balanced as I can in these scenarios. And as soon as I read that, I said, I don't think that's the case. Because David Lynch explained this very well when I was speaking to him the other day. He said, even if we took it for granted that Liverpool aren't trying to make a signing this month, right? We do still have loan players and the future of the likes of Dans and Kumas and others to figure out, and by Cecic. And Hughes is going to have to be working on those. He's going to have to be working on loan deals and lining up moves for other players like Tyler Morton maybe, who may move on loan. So there's no world I think he's going to be able to go on holidays in January. I just don't think that makes any sense. So yeah, I don't know who started that one, but I don't believe it's right. I couldn't stand another summer like last year, said Patrick. So even with that, Patrick, my man, I tried to be understanding on it. And I tried to say, right, Hughes is just in, Slot's just in. I want signings, but I can understand a world where Arne Slot wants to assess his squad and Richard Hughes needs to get his feet under the table and all this other stuff. Compile new scouting reports, do his own work. But here we are now, 6-7 months later, and there should be a signing or two ready to go at the start of this window, in my opinion. What's the point in dragging out to January? But you know what irks me the most about all of these people who like to look down their noses at the rest of us and call us unserious people and say their expectations are unreal and stuff like that. What really pisses me off about these people is they seem to be happy for the match-going fans, the season ticket holders, people paying their Sky subscriptions, buying your memberships to the club, for all those seasons to just keep going by, one after another, being patient, waiting, and thinking, do everybody else stand still? Because I don't believe they do. So, what's the point of it? Where's the upside to always doing nothing? You're standing still. And it's pathetic. And yeah, maybe the owners of the club or others can let seasons just go past because the value of the club is going up and up and up and up and up and up and up. But the people paying their money to go watch, the people tuning in from around the world, the people making flights from all different parts of the world to go to the one and only ever game at Anfield, they can't let seasons go by. They can't just go, oh well, another season, ah well. Not good enough. And it needs to be called out. So one thing I will say to you, don't let any of these people tell you you're wrong. Don't let any of these people tell you you're entitled or your opinion doesn't count or that you shouldn't expect better. Because they're great at telling us that we're wrong, but they're not very good at telling us why. Did I get refused a job at the Echo or something? I'm not even going to bite on that. Do you know what? To be honest with you, I'm just going to ban you out of it, because if you think that they're doing great work for the people of Liverpool and covering the club in a balanced and fair way, cool. I think they're a joke. And I think their journalists are a little bit too touchy at jumping on people who call them out for the deficiencies that they know deep down that they have in the coverage that they give, which is very unbalanced and very one-sided and very owner-friendly and not very well written, as I've pointed out on many occasions. So the Echo wouldn't be able to afford me, quite frankly, because, well, you know. Craig, what I don't understand is, if we won't go for big money moves, why don't we take a look at youngsters from Brazil? We don't even get players to develop. That's a question that I've asked a few times over the years. How many players you want? I'll tell you what, Sydney. String a sentence together and I'll answer you. How many players you want? Put that to, I imagine from the sentence you're 12, 11. Maybe bring that into school on Monday and ask the teacher, does this make sense? And then come back to me on Monday evening and I'll answer it. And it's not about the amount of players. It's about having the right players. So, Sydney, my friend, if you look at this Liverpool squad right now and you think that there is no positions that we can improve in upon that squad, and that every single person that's on that Liverpool bench or named in a matchday squad is of the very best that we can have, fair enough. But you don't. You just want to have a little dig at me. And that's your way of doing it. So how about answering my question? Because I haven't timed you out. I haven't banned you. Answer my question. Can we improve on the squad, Sydney? And if we can improve on the squad, why aren't we improving on the squad? So, I think that's a fair question, Sydney. You know. Jones, is he good enough? I think it'd probably be a split on that one. Darwin, definitely not good enough. Who else do we have in the squad that we could move on? Chiesa, well, hopefully he gets some minutes now at that point. Into midfield, manager doesn't rate Endo, doesn't think he can play in the position. So why shouldn't we be looking to upgrade there? Left back, every single one of us in this chat thinks we need a new left back. Should we not upgrade in that position? So it's not about how many players. That's the type of stupid bullshit answer that all these other gobshites that try to look down upon the rest of us put out there. It's just, you don't have an argument to come back with it. It's just, how many players do you want? Danny said, Craig, been a while, hopefully you're well. What's wrong with strengthening from position of strength? Nothing. And I wish we'd done it a little bit more. What I'd like to see happen as a fan is us to go out and make a statement that this league title isn't going anywhere. Arsenal can look to strengthen who they want, bring in a striker. City can go out and bring in who they want, bring in a few players. But you're not going to outdo us. We're going to solve the few deficiencies in our squad. We're going to get better as we play together and gel under the new coach. And we're going to minimise the opportunity for this to fall away or to not pick up a Champions League or an FA Cup or another trophy. That's all I want. Instead of excuses about why everybody else can do stuff but we can't. Or why it's a difficult market for everybody except, us. It's us that can't do anything, but others can go out there. Garnacho's deal, or not Garnacho. Was it Garnacho? Who was it done at United recently? Who was it signed a new contract at United recently? Not Garnacho. Who was the other guy? What's his name again? Ahmad. New contract signed at United, who haven't got a 2p to rub together, and they're able to sign him up to a new deal. And we have three of the best players in world football who are about to walk out the door at the end of the season, and we've done fucking nothing about it. How is that? How is it that other clubs can tie up extensions like that, but we've had 18 months and can't do it? But for some reason, that's tolerated and understood, and there's no pushback. Why is that? And I'm not that wrong about it, like. Mohammed. One sec, bro. Let me just find this comment here. Scroll back. There we go. At this point, we'd rather sign scouts from Brighton, Bournemouth, etc. than we can buy unknown players who are worth 10, 15 million who can potentially become superstars. There have been occasions where we've ended up waiting too long. Virgil van Dijk is a good example. Gary McAllister recommended Virgil van Dijk to Liverpool when Brendan Rodgers was at the club. And Brendan turned his nose up at Van Dijk, who then went and signed for Southampton for, I think, 12 million, if my memory's right. And then we go and pay 75 million quid a few years later. So, to hear that we're a club that is smart with money, Mohammed, and makes every penny count, but we've clearly just, again, overpaid there by not acting earlier. A lot of this stuff just doesn't square in my mind as a fan when I'm sitting back and trying to figure it all out. Seems the Caicedo money has disappeared, said Paul. So, Paul, I've tried to be balanced on this as much as I can as well and say, we just spent half of that money. If you look at what happened after that Caicedo deal, Gravenberch, I believe, came in, and I think there was another Endo after that, maybe. So I think we spent a chunk of money at that point as well. And I've always, again, said I don't think Liverpool have a number that we go into a market with. We have 100 million to spend. To the best of my understanding, it's always been a case of it's an individual player by player basis, case by case. and that Liverpool have to see certain things in a deal. Value, the right profile to come to the club, obviously, and everything has to check out with scouting reports and the character of the player and all this other stuff. So I try to be balanced and fair on these things as well. I've never once said Caicedo thing was a scam. I've always, on stage and here, said I think that was a genuine offer. So these people that think I just go in on the owners for nothing, they're doing me a disservice because they don't take the time to watch. They see me complaining in a transfer window, but they don't see the other months in between where we're talking about football, we're talking about the team, we're talking about who we should pick. It's just lazy. Right, so more news to go through. Our youngest ever player, the youngest ever starter, by the way, Rio today, 16 years and 135 days. That's incredible. So congratulations to Rio on what was no doubt a fantastic day for him and his family. And here's to many more for young Rio. And as I said, I didn't see the game, but many people that did said the young man did not look out of place out there at all. So congratulations to him again. Harvey Elliott asking price set. So here's one for you. Liverpool are reportedly open to selling Harvey Elliott amid transfer interest. The Mirror reports the Reds would ask for a fee of between £35 and £40 million for Elliott, who was down the pecking order at Anfield. The Daily Mail add that both Brighton and Borussia Dortmund are showing interest in the 21-year-old, and Elliott joined Liverpool in 2019 for a £1.5 million fee from Fulham. So again, more talk about players moving out, but not so much about the old incomings. We still haven't replaced Joel Matip in the squad, but we're stripping out more players now. And he hasn't... Look, I get Elliott's been unlucky because he did get injured at a time where maybe Arnold would have given him more opportunity. So sometimes in these situations, you know, you can have bad luck as well as, you know, maybe just being down the pecking order. But I haven't spoken to a Liverpool fan, and maybe it's just my audience or whatever, who wouldn't sell Jones ahead of Elliott, or who doesn't think Elliott deserves an opportunity ahead of Curtis Jones. And no doubt the club will look at this, and maybe there is a feeling that Harvey Elliott isn't going to cut it. But it's also a bit of a coincidence that there's a big, dirty, delicious profit to be made, isn't there? From the £1.5 million fee. A player that wants to be at the club, would run through a wall for the club, and is just a class act. And apparently we're happy to let him out the door while Jones is there. One good performance, two shit performances. I don't know anymore. I would sell Jones before Elliott, said David. We asked this the other day, mate, and I think it was about 70%, maybe even a little bit higher, in favour of what you said. Jones over Elliott. I don't know why there's any want to get rid of Elliott. We still need a midfielder. And that midfielder, it isn't in that position, by the way. It's in the deeper line position. And where's all the talk about Zubimendi gone? How has that died a death all of a sudden? The player that we wanted, who many reported was now considering his future and happy to make a U-turn, has gone really quiet from all perspectives, not just ours. Alex said, we're a selling club under FSG, Craig, just accept it. So, I have accepted it, mate. And that's the problem here, is I'm here calling it out like your good self and many others. But it's these people that put their finger in their ears and tell us that everything's great. I don't know who they're trying to kid. Everything's not bad. You know, we are in a great position. But I think it's understandable that many fans want, to use the phrase in the chat a lot, to strengthen from a position of strength. Like, I'm delighted we're not in Manchester City's position this season of having to try and salvage our season by making 3 signings in January in quick succession. I wanted one. I wanted a midfielder. I've said it many, many times going into this window. I wanted that midfielder that we failed to bring in the summer. I said I could wait for a left back, and I could understand the thought processes of waiting for a left back if we can find one to move on, because we can carry 3 left backs in the squad. I've said all these things, but it never gets picked up on. It's only the 1 or 2 things I say that when I'm angry that people like to pull me up on. How's your day been? Got to be honest, I'm FSG out, said Viarin, but I believe FSG made money available, but I think Hughes is penny pinching. I don't really differentiate too much in my mind between Edwards, Hughes and the owners. Because to me, when I talk about the club, I'm talking about everybody outside of the players and the manager and the coaching staff. Everything else to me at the club is not good enough. It just isn't. The recruitment has not been ballsy enough. There's too many excuses. And I don't know if it is procrastination. I don't know if we are debating ourselves into a corner. I don't know. Because again, it's radio silence for all of us. We're just told, keep paying your money. Shut up. You're not allowed to have an opinion. You're not allowed to be optimistic. Have you got the £390 there for your Carlsberg dugout tickets? And also, you'll never walk alone except shut up. You're not allowed an opinion. When has wanting things to be done better been a problem? When did that become a problem? When is ambition a fucking problem to some people for our football club? It's just time to force FSG out, said Mike. So Seamus, I've been at pains to talk about why I wasn't going to be doing that game. I covered it in 3 videos, 7 different streams, warned everyone all week I wasn't going to be doing the game, my man, gave my reasons for it. I get you may have missed it, but I was unable to because of a family commitment. The Facebook Network said, we say, where's the money, John? And rightfully so. I'd like to propose, what's the strategy, Hughes, in regards to our transfer options or issues? So Craig Fairbrother said, I've told you we ain't buying anyone, but you're here again. You're having a go at me, Craig, and you can't string a fucking sentence together. It's your Y-O-U apostrophe R-E. Fuck's sake, if you're going to try have a crack at me, at least do it from a position where I can read your sentence. And by the way, also, I don't know who the fuck you are. So you're coming in with this arrogant bullshit attitude of, I've told you we're not making any signings. I don't give a fuck what you think. I don't know who you are. So don't come in giving a Billy Big Bollocks to me as if you're the fucking be-all and end-all of Liverpool content. And you're telling me to stop bitching when the irony is you're in there bitching. And I didn't come into your living room and drag you to your phone or computer to watch it. You're watching my channel, asshole. You're clicking on my video. You're in my domain with my people and my community. So watch it or don't watch it. I don't give a fuck. But you don't get to come in and throw your toys out of the pram and make out like we owe you something. I don't know who the fuck you are. Arsehole. I hope that made it clear. If we don't get anyone, our youngsters can help through the rest of the season. There's some promising youngsters at the club, defo, like Dan's today, as we spoke about. Neone, again, another really promising youngster. But there haven't been many that we have put out on loan, let's say, and brought back in that have really made their place at Liverpool. It's a tough one. Like Rio Nimoa, excuse my pronunciation, but I know I mispronounced that surname, and I do apologise to Rio and his family if they're watching. There's no bad intent meant. He looks like a superstar in the making. Dan's looked like a superstar in the making. But yeah, there were defo promising stuff, and it is not doom and gloom. We're top of the league and there's loads to be happy about. But we are in a transfer window. We are all nervous as Liverpool fans that 3-star players are running down deals and it hasn't been resolved. And we're worried that others may steal a march on us in the market, and at the business end of the season, we may miss out on another trophy or two. I think we will win the league. Regardless of what happens, I honestly feel as I sit here now, we will win the league, and that'll be amazing. Harker said, Craig, man, hugs to you, brother. Thank you, bro. I'm right back to you. Any idea what's happened to Calvin Ramsey? The loans haven't been great from what I can understand. And look, I'll be the first to tell you, mate, I'm not great at keeping up with all of our loans. Yeah, I'm not great at it. But he hasn't been getting too much game time that I can understand. And I know he had injuries when he came in, or his growth spurts, or there was something that kept him out for quite a while. But other than that, I don't know. You know, to be honest with you, certainly when we signed him from Aberdeen and I was watching clips and some highlights of him, I could understand why the club made the move and looked at him. You know, he looked very Bradley-esque almost. You know, a real live wire down the right hand side, bundles of energy, chipping in with a couple of assists and that as well. Good deliveries. It's so difficult to make that final transition to senior football, and I guess moving from a club like Aberdeen to Liverpool, it's a huge jump up. So I don't know, but it hasn't been a resounding success so far. But certainly I'm at a point where I know enough to write a young man off, and I don't want to write him off. Craig, please don't give idiots a platform. Ignore them. I do try, and you're right. I know you're right, but you don't see some of the other stuff I get, the emails, the messages, the threats, quite frankly, as well. So I do get wound up by it, because people come in and like Ricky Gervais has a great bit about this, where he said if you were in a town hall and there was a notice board up for guitar lessons that had a phone number on the bottom of it, are you going to pull off the phone number, ring up and say, I don't want any guitar lessons, I don't want any? No, you're not. But for some reason, these idiots that claim to hate me and my opinions and dislike me are fucking everywhere I turn. They're in the comments of the videos, they're in the live streams, they're on social media, they're everywhere, but yet they hate me. Now, call me old-fashioned, but I don't have a habit in my life of doing things that make me unhappy, or watching stuff that I don't like, or listening to podcasts that drive me insane. I stay away from them because I'm not a fucking sociopath. Why are these people there if they dislike us so much? Why coming in? Because they just love to hate, and that's the answer. It's me now, it'll be somebody else tomorrow. They're just in an angry, sad little point in their lives, and I feel sympathy for them a lot of the time. But I'm not going to sit here and be abused by anybody, especially people that don't know anything about me. So I get it, you are right. But, you know, as the old saying goes, come walk a mile in my shoes someday and, you know, see how it feels. Matt Denny said, appreciate you. Said, never mind the idiots. Craig, you're amazing. Keep the positivity in your stream. Thank you, Tanya. Yeah, look, I get it. You are right. And ultimately, I know you guys are right. And I know you've got my best interests at heart. And I love you for that. But, you know, it's also tough at times. Mark said, do you think FSG should be balancing the books and asset stripping prior to a possible sale? No, you would want to sell at your peak. So I don't think that would make any sense. And here I am again, sort of defending the narrative in argument against the owners. I try to be fair on these things, but you never get that side of it put out there. No, I think if they wanted to sell the club, you know, they could proactively look to sell the club. But I think they've already gotten their stake or investment back in the club that they initially paid for at this point. Without knowing all the nitty-gritty of the numbers and the bits and pieces they sold off, I think that they've gotten most of their investment back. So now they're just paying with house money. And they bought something for, I think, about £300 million, if my memory's right. And on Sky Sports News the other day, the valuation's been spoken about was £5.3 billion sterling. So they've made £5 billion through some of their own ingenuity, cleverness, you know, putting people in good positions, certainly building up the corporate side of the club, the club's corporate partners and commercial partnerships, great work and all of that stuff. Obviously the stand, the area in and around Anfield, the AXA training facility, the stuff that we speak about quite often, to be honest with you. So, no, I don't think they're looking to sell, because the belief is there's still growth to be had in football. and television revenues and television rights are only going to go up and up and up. So I think there's still more untapped markets there and untapped potential for them to extract more value out of the club. So I don't think they're going to sell yet, personally. Now, I'll be the first to admit to you as well, the likes of Mo Chatra, Swiss Ramble, and Paul Tompkins, many other people who have a far better grasp on this stuff than I would be able to give you better answers on FSG's long-term strategies. I think Robbo's last chance versus Forest, I like Costas. That's a huge game, by the way. A huge game coming up against Forest on Tuesday. So, I asked, do you think we need signings? 90% of over 2,000 people that took part in the poll, and thank you to everyone that voted, 90% said yes, we need signings. Chris, did I miss your super chat, sir? My apologies. Let me grab it up for you now, mate. Sorry about that, Chris. No contract sorted by now is unacceptable. It's clearly dragging us down. And now for not being competitive in the window to help push us, lost for words. So, Chris, thank you for your comment, mate. I think there's some truth to what you've said. Do you know what happens when there's arguments over tickets because of a lack of availability of tickets? What happens? Fans turn on each other. We ignore the Ian Eyre comments of this world about clubs wanting the supply to outstrip demand because it's better for them financially. In all of these scenarios, bro, whether it's tickets and availability of them, or locals who want to get tickets, or overseas fans who want to get tickets, or transfers, or we get frustrated, you're right, and we turn on each other because we're the only options we have to chat, right? We can't have a word with Richard Hughes. We can't have a word with Michael Edwards or John W. Henry. So we end up turning on each other at times, you're right, mate. And it's saddening because I think deep down, everybody, including the Echo lads that I had to pop at or anybody else, we all want the best for the club. We all want the club to be successful. And I think when it provokes that much emotion in you, you can see what it means, right? To all of us. So, yeah. I hate it as well, man. I hate that people have to and do turn on each other like that over the anger around transfers or anything, tickets. If FSG don't show their hand in this transfer window, then clearly showing their true intent and are not giving a damn, which will be a big shame. Can I just ask a really silly question? How many transfer windows have we had some variation of this conversation? Where we want to give the benefit of the doubt. We're aware of what's happened in the past, but ultimately your love of the club and your want for it to do well always wants to give a bit more benefit of the doubt. It's a commendable stance. But I think personally that I've seen enough of these owners and how they've operated to have a grasp on what I view as my stance on transfers. And it hasn't been good enough. And it hasn't been plentiful enough. And it hasn't been at the right times. How do you go and not strengthen after winning Premier Leagues and Champions Leagues? How do you go at the top of the league now and allow City to go out there and sign 3 players, or Arsenal to look around and sign a player? And we're being told again, Liverpool are holding their nerve. Holding their nerve. Do you know how grinding that is as a fan to hear? That not spending money or bringing in a player is holding your nerve. It's far from it. It's absolutely taking a risk, rolling the dice unnecessarily when solutions can be had. It's not. It's nothing to be commended to taking a chance that another season may fall apart at the seams. I don't see why we should be slapping people on the back for that. These people who have to make up for misgivings previously. Caicedo turned us down. Tchouaméni turned us down. Lavia turned us down. Zubamendi turned us down. And we're not allowed to be pissed off about that. We're not allowed to ask, why is it, when it comes down to it, we always come up that little bit short in these scenarios. And 4 windows into looking for this midfielder, we still haven't got it. But yet we're all City and Chelsea fans who want hundreds of signings. We want the bare minimum, the basic stuff. The deficiencies actually fixed. Amash said Chiesa finally scores, but why didn't he start? I may be wrong on this, so if I am, apologies. I think there was something about him being unwell or not training for a couple of days before because of an illness. The chat will probably correct me on this if I'm wrong, but I think that was the case. Hey Craig, fun question. Have you ever had any luck converting a friend, colleague who supports United to a Liverpool one? No. A cousin of mine did it when he was younger. I mean, probably in his teens. But it was under no influence from me. But, you know, no, I would never try. I think when you pick your club, you pick your club. And, you know, I also wouldn't tell people what to do. But, yeah, it's just, I feel like it's a personal choice. Like, I stumbled into Liverpool. It's not a family thing or anything like that. I just found my own way to loving the club. Ian said, with respect and don't get annoyed, you're a bit aggro today. Oh, definitely, Ian. That's fair. It is, mate. Look, I know my own deficiencies as well, bro. And I am. But I'm aggro at people who are being aggro towards me. And aggro at the Echo journalists who are coming out. I feel like when people have put a fair or an honest comment or question in today, I have shown them respect. You know, I'm only aggro at people who are being assholes coming in. I always try to be balanced and fair with people who have a genuine question or a point to make, but I take it on board, Dean. I understand where you're coming from. And it's certainly an attribute of mine that, you know, at times can rear its ugly head, mate. I get you. Gary said FSG have taken us as far as they can. Time to sell up and sell to an owner who has ambition and wants to dominate English and European football. Aaron C said FSG are more interested in commercial successes and Champions League qualification. Cups and leagues to them are seen as a bonus. Fans are the opposite. Right, what else we got? It's hard to watch LFC do the same each season and think they have a different outcome. That's insane, said Spencer. Robbie's just confirming, yeah, he did have an illness, Chiesa. Thank you. I thought I'd seen something on that one, Robbie. What's the title about? The title is about us not addressing deficiencies in the squad when we have an opportunity in the window and potentially having the same outcome where a season doesn't have the ending it should have had because of a lack of activity is where we're going with the title, mate. Right, Peter, let me grab your comment up, sir. Hey Craig, love your channel. Would be happy if we sold Darwin and Dan's took his place. Would you be happy? We ran a poll on it earlier on, Peter. 70-30. I think people, if I'm wrong and I've forgotten the poll result already, I apologise, but it was certainly on the favour of yes, they'd be happy. But understandably, people are also saying, why would you make yourself weaker in January as well if you didn't have to? So I think I understand that side of it as well. Yeah, I just think if we sat down right now and picked our, let's say, first four Liverpool attackers, I don't know of anyone who would have Darwin in that four. I think you probably have some variation of Salah, Gakpo, Diaz, Jota, and then you're talking about Chiesa and Darwin. Chiesa as the unknown factor, of course, because we haven't seen that much of him, and Darwin as the roll of the dice. Yeah, so Mark just gave me confirmation that David Lynch did say Arne Slot said Chiesa would have started but had been absent from training for a couple of days with an illness. So, again, yeah, that's an understandable one. Thank you, by the way, for this comment, Regista, because it honestly, it means a lot to me on days like today, where, as Ian pointed out, I am a bit tetchy. You say, Craig, certain people don't want to hear it, but you're speaking for all of us. Keep it up. Thank you. I hope so. But I'm also speaking my own mind, you know, what I feel about the club and what I think we should be doing. And it's the fear of we got ourselves into this great position. I don't want to see it come apart at the seams again. I want Arne Slot to have the first season we look back on and go, Who would have thought that? Who would have thought Arne would come in? And because I didn't think we'd be in a title race this season. I thought third maybe. But now that we have gotten ourselves into this position, I feel like we need to leave no stone unturned to make sure that we end the season as positively as we can. Defacement Network said, do you think Endo is gaining some trust with Slot in the centre-back position, especially due to Endo's experience and natural role there? I hope so. Because we all love Endo. And I think everyone has a soft spot for Waturo. And as we mentioned the other night, it was lovely to actually realise that he has actually played the majority of his games in his career. Or at least in one position, the majority of his games at centre-back. And look, if Arne feels like he's an option at centre-back, why not? You know, I don't think we're going to sign one in this window. I wouldn't mind one, but you know, there's a couple of uncertainties for me. I don't know how to feel about Kwanzaa long term. I don't want to write the kid off yet, but I also am not going to lie and say that he looks like he's playing with confidence. He doesn't. He looks like his confidence has taken a bit of a hit. And of course, he hasn't had much of a rhythm. Joe Gomez, you know what you get with Joe. Steady as she goes. Solid right across the back line, but is injured. And outside of that, it's Kanade and Virgil. So I think we could do with a body there. And if it's Endo and he stays around to the end of the season, I think he'll do us a service there. I know Musk is far from Liverpool's socialist roots, but if his grandmother is a Scouser and he grew up a Red, I think he'll want to win. I want an ambitious owner. Well, he's admitted himself, mate, that he supports Manchester United, or he did as a kid anyway. The whole socialist roots thing, like, I totally understand somebody who would say it's very far, Elon Musk is very far from Liverpool's socialist roots. I can't put up an argument to that. But what I would say is, John W. Henry's not exactly opening up soup kitchens and out there being a Robin Hood or anything. You know, he's in this for money and influence and power as well. So, you know, nobody in these positions are squeaky clean. I just don't think there's any truth to the Musk stuff more than anything else. Aaron said, if we did win the league this season, it's down to no recruitment if we don't win the league, my apologies, Aaron. If we don't win the league this season, it's down to no recruitment this month. Who would you like as a new left back? Goalkeeper, Bruges, I like. Same as everybody else. Kirkes is somebody who you think would make sense. The kid Lanos is now gone to Bournemouth, so you know that option's gone. Anthony Robinson's more than good enough, but you know it's the age thing there, coupled with probably a 40 million price tag. So yeah, the Kuiper for me would be the one, but I've not seen any real mention of him being linked to Liverpool. Adam said, are you doing a video with David Lynch tomorrow? No, we aren't, because I didn't get to watch the game. So it's going to be Wednesday, the next time we're doing a video with David Lynch. Yeah, it's because I don't want to bring him on to speak about a game that I haven't had a chance to fully watch. So maybe I would have at that point, but it wasn't in the plans for this week. So we'll see him on Wednesday, all going well. And by the way, on David Lynch, let me just say one thing while I'm talking about, because I don't ever want him particularly, or anybody else to feel that when I talk about certain journalists or whatever, that I'm lumping David Lynch in with that. I'm not. David Lynch wouldn't be on this channel if I hadn't got the height of respect for him, and I didn't think that he was a fine, credible, balanced journalist that wants the best for the football club. And I certainly have nothing but the height of admiration and respect for the man. And I love his opinions, even if they do differ from mine. I love that he's open to come on and have a chat about them. And, you know, at least he's there. He's coming in having a chat with me. And he might not agree with what I have to say, but we have a conversation. I give my side, he gives his side, and you guys can make up what you think after that. That, to me, is what we're lacking. More of that. More people coming on to have a conversation with people with maybe a dissenting voice or a difference of opinion on a lot of stuff, and trying to do it in a respectable, balanced way. So I've really enjoyed the stuff I've done with David Lynch, and you know, I hope to enjoy it, and I hope we do it for a long time moving forward, because he's a great lad and loves the football club dearly. but is also a professional journalist, so doesn't have the freedom, I guess, that I would have to maybe speak on certain things from an unprofessional basis at times. I think FSG are just setting us up to sell on to somebody, and I wonder if Jurgen actually got wind of something, that's why he decided to leave. I don't know. If he sells, he sells. Or if they sell, they sell. I just haven't seen any indication that that is the case at the minute. But again, as I've said many times, I'm not the guy on football finances to be rolling out the advice on when's the right time or whatever. Graham Payne, welcome Graham to Anfield Agenda FC. Ladies and gents, a little quick favour if I may. We're going to finish up in about 15 minutes, but before I do, if you can hit that like button for me, would really appreciate it. And if you haven't hit that subscribe button, we'd love you to do that as well. That link for Joe and that wheelchair basketball chair, if you'd like to make a small donation, is pinned to the top of the chat at the minute. Danny said, John W. Aldi cheap has to get the wallet out. Tony said, Craig, we love you. I keep saying this. Under a more ambitious ownership, we would have won more trophies than we have now. FSG's profitability model and any laurels is not healthy for the club. So, Tony, in response to your comment, and to be fully transparent, I won't lie, mate. I've struggled over the last month because I've been around now for about 6 years doing content. And every transfer window, I know I'm going to get worked up. And I know I'm going to divide opinion with a lot of people. But I try to come on every day and be respectful to people that are respectful to us and to me. And I don't know how much more I have in me, to be honest with you. It's really difficult to keep being ridiculed, laughed at, undermined, shunned, and carry on smiling and coming on every day. It's difficult. It's really difficult. And there's been loads of times over the past couple of months where I've asked, is this right for me? Like, am I doing my family a disservice by all of this? You know, because I don't give a shite about the money aspect of it. You know, it's a job and it's great and I'm very grateful for that, but it's, I don't know, it's tough. It can be tough at times, man. It can be really fucking tough because I look myself in the mirror sometimes and go, am I an arsehole? Am I over the top? Am I asking for too much? Am I greedy? Am I selfish? Am I too aggro? I don't know, but all I can say is it's me, this is who I am on and off camera. And I would like to think that anyone who's met me, bumped into me, come to a live show or anything like that, you know, sees the normal, decent, down to earth side of me, and that I've no bad intent for anyone. But I don't want to be a division for fans. I want to speak up on behalf of what I think people don't have a voice to say. But maybe I'm wrong. You know, maybe I should reevaluate. I don't know. But I don't know. It's tough sometimes. I'm not looking for anyone's fucking sympathy. Don't get me wrong. But, you know, it is difficult to be constantly told you're sensationalist, you're wrong, you're ill-informed, you're a laughingstock, real fans don't take... Like, someone yesterday tried to say to me, Craig and all of his non-UK based teenage fans... and he's too thick to realise that nobody takes him seriously. The truth of it is, the majority of our viewers come from the UK. The average audience age, the peak age, is 25 to 44. So their assumptions are wrong. I am self-aware and I do understand that I say stuff that is close to the bone at times, but it only ever comes from a place of wanting the best for the football club and an opinion and a side that I don't think gets highlighted enough, which is, as I keep saying, a dissenting voice, a healthy debate. There is none of that. It's toe the line or you're a problem and we're going to cut you out. And I've said this for 6 years. Tell me I'm wrong. Show me somebody with a dissenting voice that has been given any platform. or any opportunity to question somebody. It's always undermining, ridiculing, pointing fingers, and scapegoating. Always, for people like me or other content creators of other clubs who want more than what we're being lapped up, and don't just accept the bullshit that's being put out there all the time, which most of the time people writing it know is bullshit. What does WFM stand for? It means we're fucking massive. It's kind of like a little joke about our community. Yeah, it was around for years. Like, we started it smaller, like as in together we're massive. Together as a collective, we're an army. So it's kind of that's what it means. Bloody hell, I'm too old for this channel, 54. I know. And you know what made me so angry about that comment is not what they're saying about me. It's that they're doing you a disservice. They're thinking that only tickos who don't comprehend anything watch my channel. And that elitist attitude has been one my entire life from a child that I've pushed back against. Because I despise it. I despise anybody looking down their nose at people. It drives me demented. So them undermining you and calling you tickos and saying you're all just kids who don't know better, or you don't watch the club, you're not close to the club. You know, I've met at my Liverpool shows many scousers of all ages who feel the way I do about the club and feel like the owners aren't doing enough. And like I keep saying, if I'm so in the wrong, why is it that my channel is the most watched in the world? Why is it that because I'm the only dissenting voice that has some traction at the minute, that people keep flocking in and coming and watching and subscribing and clicking? They'll tell you it's because they're all opposition fans coming to laugh at us and mock us and ridicule us, because they don't understand it. They don't get our community, and they like to look down their noses at us. And my answer has always been, fuck them. Because we have to keep speaking up, or there's going to be nobody left. And maybe I'm wrong, and I'm going to evaluate it, and I'm going to speak with my missus, and I'm going to try and figure it all out, because I'm tired. I'm really, really tired. Man City are strengthening and we ain't. We're top of the league, said Jordan. Yep. Now look, they're strengthening for a very different reason, I should say. They're strengthening because they're up shit creek. And, you know, the league's gone for them this year, but they still have a chance to maybe get FA Cup or latter stages Champions League. And if they can get it right in the second half of the season, there's a trophy or two on the table for them there, perhaps. Arsenal are trying to strengthen, obviously, to try and push on, to kick on towards the title and chase us down. And we're, as we were, hoping that we don't pick up an injury or fatigue. And we'll hope for the best, apparently. Uh, 56-year-old Scouser living in Italy. I'm also too old. Your lovely man Craig, I came to your first show in Liverpool. Thank you, David. By the way, that other show, I just got an email last night saying that is confirmed for May 28th now at the Hot Water Comedy Club, our end of season party. The plan is for David Lynch to interview me on stage on the night as well. And I hope I don't become too outspoken or toxic that, you know, David thinks I'm toxic to him to work with or anything, because I really do respect the man to bits. So yeah, May 28th, our end of season show at the Hot Water Comedy Club. If you guys want to come along again, and it's going to be a bit different this time. We're going to be more upbeat. We're going to have a bit of fun on the night. We're going to have a few quizzes and a bit of crack, as well as hopefully celebrating what's shaping up to potentially be a very good season for Arne Slot and the boys. Yeah, tickets aren't on sale yet though. I should point that out as well. We're holding them back till March because it's too long now to be putting them out. Craig, Endo's been doing a great job in the squad. Endo's brill, Damon. We all love Endo. So when I say things like the manager doesn't fancy Endo in defensive midfield, that's because that's what I'm being told, and that's the truth. But it doesn't mean Endo isn't brilliant in every... Like, someone said centre-back. I hope Arne Slot looks at him and thinks he's a centre-back's option for the remainder of the season, because we all want Endo to be around. He's a model professional. And I can't speak highly enough of Wataru Endo since he's come to the club. He is an absolute model pro. He kind of reminds me a bit of Lucas Leiva in that he keeps his head down, trains hard, and when he's called upon and when he's needed by the team, he's there and he'll give 100%. And I don't think you can ask for much more than that in the position that Endo's in. Neil said, I would personally keep Doak rather than Dan's. Yeah, I mean, when I brought up Ben Doak previously to a journalist and I asked about his future and I was told that he likely doesn't have one at the club, I really felt shocked like that, because I thought Ben Doak looked really promising, and I can understand the club not knowing whether he's going to be good enough or not yet because he's still developing, but I didn't understand the thought process that, and excuse the way I'm phrasing this, I don't know how else to phrase it or how better to phrase it, but it's almost like he's been a lamb being fattened up to then be put out to sale. I hope that wasn't the case, because he's very exciting. You know, he's one of them get you up on the edge of your seat type players. Was just about to buy tickets for the 28th in the hot water. Am I about to get scammed? No, what will happen is you'll click on it and it'll tell you that tickets won't be on sale. Because it says, what's it? Because I got caught with the same thing earlier on. It says book now or something, and you click on it, and then you'll see that it says tickets, check back, tickets available March 3rd. So, no, it is linked. It's up on the hot water site, but it won't allow you to click through the process. Once you get to the next stage, it'll say tickets March 3rd. And I wouldn't let you get scammed, mate. I wouldn't put my name behind something that was going to scam you. And nor would that fantastic venue and great people do it. They're an amazing place with great staff. And even if you're just in Liverpool for a weekend and you ever get a chance to go, man, check out the Hot Water Comedy Club. It is awesome. Between the food stalls they have in there, the live music every night, you know, a great variation of comedy shows as well in a cool place. Defo worth a visit if you're near Blackstock Market. Mark said, Craig, it's easy to say everything is great, even if it isn't, but it's hard to stand up and be counted and say no to this bollocks. I'm Ian, 65, Scouser, first game in 65. Keep up the great work. Thank you, Mark. To hear you're a Scouser, mate, makes that mean an extra special bit, because I don't know what it is. Like, when we're growing up as kids, we're told to tell the truth. We go through school, we're told to tell the truth. But when you do speak the truth sometimes, and the truth that you believe differs from the narrative, you're ridiculed very quickly in life, or, you know, whistleblowers are then vilified. And I don't get it. There's so many hypocrisies between the morals we're given as kids and how the world plays out on a daily basis. And like you've said, was it Ian? Mark. Like you've said, it's easy to just stick your fingers in your ears and go, la, 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 everything's great. And my life would have been a lot easier if I had have played along and, you know, been more pro FSG and didn't speak out. I probably would have had a way easier content journey with way more perks than I have, but I wouldn't have been honest. And I need to look in the mirror, and I need to like what I see back. Supposedly we're in for Malik Juff. Yes, left back, I believe. So Anfield Sector have posted, and by the way, they're a great Liverpool fan account as well, Anfield Sector. So Liverpool have contacted the agent of El Hadj Malik Juff. Slavia Prague wants €25 million. I don't know anything about the guy, in all honesty. I can't say I've watched any of Slavia Prague. I always say, Craig, nobody wants to hear the truth anymore. Yep. And it sickens me, mate. It sickens me. That you're right. I don't think anyone does. Because when you do, and it doesn't go with what people want or what those in positions of power or influence want, they try to squash you very quickly and undermine you and ridicule you. Nick, please for Chiesa today, keep doing what you're doing. Thank you, Nick. Yeah, I was buzzing for him. Can I ask you guys a question, because I didn't see the game? So I know he got his goal just as we were heading into injury time, but was he knocking on the door before that? Because I know he had the shot that was parried that Jayden Dan scored, but obviously I've only seen clips from the game. So was he bright when he came on? Was he looking likely to score before he did score? Ted Brennan, 75-year-old Scout season ticket holder. Love the show. My man, thank you, Ted. Much love to you and your family, sir. And Happy New Year to you. 75 years season ticket holder. Ted, man, the football you must have seen over the years. I'd love to have a chat with you someday about the likes of Hansen and Dalglish and Souness. Players that I just didn't get a chance to watch. So someday, Ted, maybe we can sit down and have a pint and talk about those, because God, I'd love to hear from somebody who was on the cop to watch it. What's my go-to sandwich? I'm so simple. It's ham, probably, you know. Yeah, ham and cheese. Toasted ham and cheese, probably. Couple of bad touches today, but okay, said Joe. He could have had 3, said Nick. Chiesa looked keen, had a few shots, hit the post lively, said Andy Partridge. Philip said, yeah, 100% he looked well. Naturalist said Chiesa looked like he was a threat to score from the time he got on. Paul said he also hit the post with a shot. Chiesa has something about him, said Dave. And he looks like he wants to be here, which I always love about Chiesa looking at him. He just looks like he wants to be a success for Liverpool. Arthur said, Craig, a fan of spicy food. No, I'm a coward when it comes to adding spicy, mate. I am. Like, I eat Nando's medium marinade on my chicken fillet, and all I'm short of doing is going around, like, boasting about eating medium, you know. I'm such a pussy, mate, when it comes to spicy food. No, not at all. Right, look, I'm going to leg it because I've got a news video to record with some updates on some contract stuff and a few other bits and pieces that are going to come out in the next 20-25 minutes or so. As I mentioned during the video today, I always honest with you guys, it's been a tough month. It's been tough to read, see, hear some of the stuff that's aimed at me, said about me, and I want to try and be strong about it and I want to keep carrying on, but truth is I'm a bit tired mentally at the minute, so I'm going to have a little think about what the best way forward of all of it. I'm not saying I'm quitting. I don't want to say anything like that. I'm not. But maybe I have to reevaluate something. Maybe I drop live content or something. I don't know. But yeah, it's tiring. It's hard, and it's lonely at times because, you know, you're asking, am I an asshole? Am I this dickhead who is unrealistic? I don't know, and I don't want to be a bad influence or anything on a fan base for a club that I love. So I will chat to you guys tomorrow. I'm just trying to think what we have coming up tomorrow on the channel. News video stream tomorrow evening, and then a recap video tomorrow night as well. So yeah, much love. Thank you to you all for dropping in today. I hope you all have a lovely weekend, and I'll catch up with you tomorrow. Take care.